A very good day, everyone. My name is Prem Maheshwaran. I'm a ServiceDesk Plus product expert and an ITSM evangelist. I welcome you all to this advanced session of Masterclass. Today, we are going to discuss about how you can hack your ServiceDesk Plus for the new normal. By now, many of us have realized how dispiriting it can be to work from home. Work from home is not a new territory. It's not as relaxing as we have always imagined. We have to deal with tool, time, and people amidst the chaos of our home ground, and that is what makes it very challenging. Now, as technology owners, IT has to step in to aid our business users as well as our IT users to enable them to work from the home without much trouble. Right. So, in this discussion, we are going to see some features that are there in Service Test Plus that can empower the users to make this experience a smoother one. So when you're working from home, the primary thing that we miss is collaborating with our colleagues. So we miss the chit chat, we miss the pantry time, we miss bumping into our uh, colleagues and friends. So that is always there. All right, and also for managers, they really don't have any visibility about the team members who are available at any point in time. Delegating work, collaborating with different people to get the work done. It's a really tough task when you're working from home. Okay, so I'm going to talk about a specific situation, deployment of service catalog. So service catalog has been there for more than 2 decades now. We have been trying to build a very successful service catalog and deploy it so that our users will use it effectively, but that's not happening at all. I have done implementation in more than 100 organizations around the world. We have put in a lot of time and effort to create a beautiful service catalog, but even then, our users don't use the service catalog effectively. There is something that is going wrong, right? So they always resort to shooting emails, stepping into the ID office, or even contact us via chat. The reason being, service catalog is a whole new place, and people don't want to go there just to create IT tickets. All right. So we have to think differently, and we have to ensure that we reach out to them. Reaches out to them. Right. So that is the new approach towards service catalog. The service catalog has to be omnipresent, meaning the IT service desk has to be there everywhere. All right. We have to find out places where users spend most of their time, and we have to be available there. In this case, since most of us are working remotely, organizations across the world are effectively utilizing collaboration tools such as Slack and MS Teams, Microsoft Teams. Right? Business users tend to spend most of their times in MS Teams, and uh, they also have to approve service requests. They also have to raise service requests. They also have to, check the status on their tickets. So that is what is the current situation. A manager who is effectively using MS Teams to collaborate with her team members, all right, also has to approve service requests. And let's see how this can be solved with the MS Teams integration in Service Desk Plus. So we have seen a raise in the usage of MS Teams in the past 6 months or so. All right, and that is primarily because of this situation. MS Teams has become an effective solution to create a virtual office space so that you can hang out with your fellow colleagues as well as team members. All right, and Service Desk Plus offers out of the box integration with MS Teams. Right, you can integrate Service Desk Plus and MS Teams in 3 steps, and once the integration is done, you can do a variety of operations from MS Teams into Service Desk Plus. So let me show you where you can find the MS Service Desk Plus app for MS Teams. So you need to go to the app section, search for Service Desk, and you'll find Service Desk Plus Cloud as well as the on-premises. Meaning, Microsoft Teams integration is available even for the on-premises version. So if you don't find the integration option, all you have to do is upgrade your application to the latest version. Once you upgrade, you'll find the integration out of the box. So in MS Teams, you have to search for this application and then install it. It's a bot, so it has to be configured as a bot and then installed it inside Microsoft Teams. All right, it doesn't stop there. There is a couple of steps that you have to do. Once after you install the bot into the MS Teams application, you have to also configure it, for which I'm going to take you to the Enterprise Edition of ServiceDesk Plus on-premises, the latest version. If you go to the admin page, scroll down to the bottom to the integration section, you will find Microsoft Teams as a default out-of-the-box option. So here, you can enable Microsoft Teams. You have to first do this, check this box to enable Microsoft Teams, and then you have to provide the application ID and tenant ID. This information can be gathered from the Azure portal, right? So there are a few prerequisites to achieve this integration in the first place. So I'm going to show you what you have to do. All right, so go down to the help card section and click on instructed here. That will take you to the help documentation of Microsoft Teams integration. So the first step towards integration is installing the app. Once after you install, add the app to MS Teams. The second step is to import an existing app and set it up. All right, so there'll be a bot and then you have to set it up. All right, so you can give privileges to the bot and then generate a new password. This is the password that you're going to supply here as the application password. Okay, so the next step, so for this to happen, you have to configure ServiceDesk Plus in the Azure application proxy. All right, so ServiceDesk Plus has to be hosted in the Azure application proxy. It has to be listed as an application in the application proxy feature in Azure. So that is a prerequisite for this integration to work. Once after you do that, you can proceed to the Azure portal. And in the portal, go to the app registration section. So there you'll find ServiceDesk Plus, a new app will be listed there. And you have to enable it and get the application ID and the tenant ID from there and provide that information in the configuration section. Right, so let me quickly recap the steps that you have to follow. The first step is to add the app into Microsoft Teams. Once the app is added, right, you have to set it up as a bot, give it privileges to download files, etc. That is the part that you have to do with Microsoft Teams application. After that, you have to also list ServiceDesk Plus application in your Azure proxy portal. So if you have listed already, then you're good to go, or otherwise you have to list it in the Azure proxy portal so that external users can access it just like a cloud application, right? It mimics a cloud application, right? So after the configuration is done, you can now go to the app registrations in the application registrations page and get the application ID and tenant ID provided here. Also provide the application password, okay? And then you're good to update it. Once you update, the integration will be made possible, so you can view the integration working. So what can you do with it? All right, so once the app is added into MS Teams, from here you can provide, you can perform a variety of operations. To take a look at all the operations that you can do, type /help. That will give you all the chat commands that you can issue to this bot to get things done in ServiceDesk Plus. All right, so you'll find a list of operations. So we are planning to add more. We are planning to enhance this with more chat commands. But for now, we have taken the first step of the integration working. Then we have given these default chat commands. Right. So in our situation, a manager is spending a lot of time in Microsoft Teams application, and she also has to deal with new service requests. Especially when you're working from home, your employees tend to ask for software, additional software to enable them to work Okay, they might ask for additional accessories to be shipped to them, which also gets created as a service request. All this has to be approved by his or her manager, right? And the managers spend most of their times in collaborative tools, right? So in our case, the manager will go to Microsoft Teams, and here, by typing this command, she can take a look at all the pending approvals for service request. So Howard has asked for a new laptop, all right? Heather has asked for a software. Also, Prem has asked for software to be installed. All right. So from here, the manager can take actions on this service request. So this is the first feature that I wanted to show you. Straight off out of the box integration with Microsoft Teams enables you to perform this operation. Not only this, you can also get an overview, all right, of your requests in Service Desk. Right. You can also get search the request, you can view all the tickets, you can even choose the instances. I believe you all know that ServiceDesk Plus is enterprise service management enabled, all right, meaning it now supports multiple portals, right? You can create different portals for different departments, internal departments like your HR, facilities, etc. So you can even choose which instance you have to go and create a request right from the bot here. Right, these are the options made available once the integration is done between Microsoft Teams and Service Desk Plus. That is the first situation that I want to talk about. The second situation, right? Most of us, IT technicians or business users, got so used to working with multiple displays. So in our offices, we have multiple screens. So in one screen, we observe the monitoring applications triggering alarms. Another screen, we have the mailbox open, which is so busy, we view it all the time. Another screen, we have Service Desk Plus, you have got the incident queue, all right? So you keep an eye on all these monitors all the time. But now, since you're working from home, you don't have that privilege. You're restricted to use your modest laptop. You have to spend most of your time with one screen. And that is something new. And getting used to this new uh, environment is very, very difficult. All right. In this case, a technician who is also an ops technician, he has to continuously monitor the alarms. He has to continuously monitor the error codes in the alarms, search the internet to find out answers. Right? Sometimes it may be Microsoft uh, knowledge base. Sometimes it may be Dell knowledge base. Sometimes it can be knowledge bases of Intel or AMD. So whenever there is an alarm received, it has to go to a different browser tab, do a Google search, find out answers, and apply the answers. Check if it can be applied to resolve the issue. All right. So researching the internet takes a lot of browser tabs, and using a single screen computer is very, very difficult, especially when you're working from home. All right, so let's take a look at a new feature, page scripts, that lets you manipulate and customize pages in Service Desk Plus to tailor fit your needs. Now you can play with the UI of Service Desk Plus. You can manipulate it, you can customize it to work as per your requirements. I'm going to show you what it can do. I'm here in the Enterprise Edition of Service Desk Plus. So here I'm going to show you what page scripts is capable of doing. So in my case, a technician keeps an eye on incidents that are flowing from monitoring application, the alarms that are flowing from monitoring applications, from log management applications, logs that are created in Windows servers that are getting created as incidents. Right? One such ticket is this one. Please help with error code, system error codes, right? Okay, so here is the request details page. And in the request details page, if you see, I have made a small modification in the properties section. This is the properties section of the request details page. Here, I have added a widget, search in Microsoft KB. Conventionally, the technician used to copy this error code and then go to a different browser tab, do a Google search, Sometimes it gives the right answer, sometimes it doesn't. All right. So if you want to specifically go to the Microsoft KB and do a search, you can now do this. Instead of performing the operation on a different tab, you can click here. Now I have written the script to open it in a different browser tab, right? Now this option has copied the subject of my ticket and has searched the Microsoft knowledge base, and it has found me a result. Now the technician can view the result, copy the procedure and pass it on to the other technicians, or that way searches in uh, researching the internet has been made easy with this option. Let me show you how I achieved this in the first place. All right, for which we need to go to the admin section, scroll down to the bottom, go to general settings, and you'll find page scripts as one of the options. Once again, if you don't find it, you may have to upgrade the application to the latest version. So here I have written a page script to create a widget for searching Microsoft knowledge base. All right. So the first step towards creating a page script is writing the rule name. So that's for internal reference. Now we can choose who should be allowed to make use of the script. All right. You can give it to all users, only for technicians, or only for requesters. All right. In my case, it's going to be only for technicians because technicians are going to do this operation, right? And in what event? So you can allow the script to be shown in the request list view, request details page, or both. In my situation, I want it only in the request details page. I want to present this widget only inside the request details page. And also I can put up a condition, meaning only approved requests. Say for example, you want to show a widget in service requests that are only approved. I can even show it conditional with the condition, right? Only when the condition matches, this widget will be shown. For my case, I don't need a condition. That's why I have left it blank. And then the action is to execute a script. All right. As soon as I say script, it's a little intimidating for people who do not know coding or who are not so interested, with coding, right? Even I don't know anything about coding, right? But this operation is achieved only with two lines of code. In the first line, I got the subject and I have stored it as a variable. In the second line, I have added a widget, that too from the sample script. All right, add widget is a sample script available in this editor. All I have to do is read it once and then copy and paste it. Right? If you have observed, I've also created a widget for showing a YouTube video, which is a help video that will come in handy, especially to educate your users. You can create a widget with a video there, providing the URL of the video, and you can educate your end users, especially new hire that have joined your organization. When they want to raise a request, when they go to a template, you can present this video, and that will guide them step by step uh, to log a ticket. Also, it will come in handy when you have technicians working remotely. So you have to educate the process of handling incidents, process of handling service requests. All those can be created as videos, and you can push it directly into the request details page. Right? For different templates, you can show different videos. So you can also do that. All right. So and then I have created a widget. All right. Let me quickly copy this code. I'm going to show you a different use case now. Right, cancel this one. Okay. Now, instead of Microsoft, I want to search the Dell support page. All right. I want to also create a widget for Dell knowledge base. Okay, let me Google Dell knowledge base. You got the results. Okay, so this is the URL for the Dell knowledge base. But I don't want this alone. I want to search here. Let me quickly search latitude, a keyword, do a search. Now, if you observe at the top, the URL changes with the query keyword that I have provided. Now, this is the URL I want, right? Let me quickly copy this URL. Before I do that, let's create a new rule, call it as del KB, applies to technicians only. In the request details page, no conditions, execute a script. I'm going to first paste the script that I copied already. All right, now here, instead of the URL for Microsoft search, I'm going to replace it with the Dell support knowledge base page. Okay, here X is my subject. All right, subject is stored as a variable X, and X is getting substituted in this widget. Let me save the script, save it, and we'll go back to the request. Okay. Okay, 1 second. Let me quickly check. It's a small change. Okay, instead of Microsoft, I have to name it as Dell KB. Dell search in Dell KB. Save script. Save. Let's refresh this page. All right, now you can see there is a new widget which I have created, search in Dell knowledge base. Now, if I click on this, the same query will be copied over to the Dell knowledge base, and you can do a search there. All right, let's go to a different ticket and see how it works there. Okay, let's go to intrusion detection, which is an incident that is reported in service desk. From here, I'm going to do a search in the Dell KB with the widget that I newly created. Now, if you observe, the subject of the ticket gets copied over as the query for the knowledge base search. All right, so you can play with it. As per your requirements, you can modify it, you can change it. Everything is done with JavaScripts. So as soon as I say JavaScripts, it may be a little intimidating. I want to share a resource which I use personally for learning a lot about JavaScripts. All right, which is developer.mozilla.org, which is Mozilla Developers Network web. So here you can find a lot of resources for web technology developers, and our interest is JavaScripts, right? And here you've got looking to become a front-end developer. It's completely for beginners. All right, from here you can start learning. If it sounds too much, if you don't have the time, all right, you can also do this. Okay, see widget JavaScript, right? So here you'll find a lot of resources as well. So you can go to W3 Schools, alert JavaScript, right? So all these are resources that will help you to write single or two-line codes that will make a difference to the user experience, right? So that is the feature that I wanted to talk about, page scripts. Page scripts will allow you to manipulate and customize your page, bring in widgets, bring in buttons, can add new buttons, you can hide elements, right? If you want to hide an existing element, right? Say for example, you want to hide checklist altogether, you want to hide time analysis, if you want to hide history, you can also achieve that with page scripts. All right, so you can hide an element, you can manipulate an element, you can introduce a new element, you can even add new buttons to this page. All that can be done with page scripts. So the possibilities are unlimited. The examples that I showed you are just a couple of the examples that are really useful in real-time incident management. All right, so widgets can be created here. So now that we have discussed two major features, Microsoft integration, a quick recap of whatever we discussed. Microsoft integration that enables us to integrate ServiceDesk Plus and Microsoft Teams and perform operations directly from Microsoft Teams. The second feature is manipulating the request details page. All right, so that can be achieved with page scripts. All right, so the third situation that I'm going to talk about is onboarding a new user during this lockdown. So we hire new resources and new talents during the lockdown, and the onboarding process, which is already mind-boggling, which is already very complex, now has to happen completely via remote. All right, so everything is happening remotely. So you have to get the information from users who are remote, working from home. You have to process assets and send the assets to the users who are remote. You have to deploy software to the user who is in his or her home. All right, and that requires extensive programming of Service Desk Plus. You have to program the workflow, and conventionally programming Service Desk Plus required scripts like Python scripts. So we used to deploy Python scripts as triggers, and Python scripts can do the API operations. Say, for example, you want to create a Jira ticket from Service Desk Plus, you have to write a Python script. If you want to create a problem request or a change request from an incident, so if it's an operation within Service Desk, even then we needed Python script. All right. So Python scripts, you require a Python runtime environment, which is there in the server in Service Desk Plus. And probably we'll get the help from our developers. So either Service Desk developers or your in-house developers, they'll write the script for you, and then you have to deploy the script in Service Desk Plus to perform API operations, to achieve integration between multiple applications. That is how it was happening all this while. But this model has a problem. The script that you get from our support team might not work in your environment because it's heavily dependent on libraries. So you have to set up the environment, the Python environment. You have to also deploy a lot of libraries. Even then, sometimes it may fail because of compatibility between versions, right? So a problem with external scripting is a lot of dependencies are there. All right, you also have to test the script beforehand, meaning you need an environment in your computer where you can write the script and get it tested. And deploying the script requires remote access as well. You have to remote into the Service Desk Plus server. Nowadays Service Desk Plus on premises, even on premises, is hosted in AWS or Azure, so we don't have access to the servers. So making it work is a struggle, and we understood this, and that is where we want to present to you a new feature, which is called deluge. Deluge is a built-in programming language. Now Service Desk Plus comes with a programming language which is packed inside the product that lets you play with the APIs. All right, now you can operate the APIs by coding in deluge instead of Python script or PowerShell scripts or batch files. You can now write deluge scripts using the editor that is pre-built into the application. All right, and also the best part about it is you can do it even with your tablet. You don't need a computer which has the deluge scripting platform already installed in it. It's available there in the product. You can write it, test it, deploy it directly in the product. That's the beauty of deluge scripts. Let me quickly show you in action and what it can do. For which, once again, I'm going to go to the enterprise edition of the on-premises version of Service Desk Plus. So my requirement here is I'm going to log HR request for onboarding a new hire. Okay, let me go to the service catalog, go to user management, employee onboarding. So now a ticket is going to be logged in the HR department. Let's provide the requester. It's going to be Adam. There are a few additional fields that I have to talk about. So employee's name is Diana. It's going to be my CFO. All right, hiring department is finance. So I have to provide the hiring manager's email address and then add a request. So when I do that, when I click on add request, the first step is getting this request approved by the hiring manager. Right? I want to send this request to the hiring manager who will approve the request and also provide more information like the asset information, the privilege information that has to be provided to the user. I can see now the request is in pending approval status. All right, let's quickly go to the history section and take a look at what has happened in the backend. Now, automatically an approver has been set from the email address that I received in this request. Hiring manager's email address has been set as the approver and it has been triggered to the user. So the user has been given a notification. Let's quickly log in as this new user. All right. So I've already logged in as Zafan, who is the hiring manager. Okay, so if you observe here, I've got a new notification which says approval required for request ID 12 from the HR desk. So here I can provide my approval comments, right? So I can say go ahead, click on approve. Once I do that, the approval will take effect in the HR desk. All right, so we have approved a service request in the HR instance from my IT instance. That's the beauty of having enterprise service management. Even though the resource is currently in the IT instance, he can still approve a request in the HR instance. He can be an approver in the HR instance. Now let's go back to this application. Now once the request is approved, I need another set of operation that has to happen in this ticket. If you take a look at the history, you'll now find that the request is approved with the note go ahead, and also an IT ticket has been created. Right, so this is the kind of automation I wanted to achieve by programming ServiceDesk Plus. Conventionally, I used to write Python scripts, but now instead of Python scripts, let me show you a new option that's there in the admin section. So in the admin section, search for functions, custom functions. So you've got request custom function and change custom function. This one is request custom function. So this is the repository of your scripts that you have written. All right. So here I can write new scripts. So instead of Python or PowerShell, I can provide a name here. Okay, and then leave a description and start writing my code. All right, so it's a drag and drop kind of a editor where if you want to create, start coding, you can do this and then provide the information, syntaxes, and write your logic. So when it comes to writing logics, you need help, right? So that is why we have given a guide here. So 13% of the people said that they have learned programming during this lockdown. I would recommend you all to explore this help page on Deluge. So here we have given an exhaustive documentation of what you can achieve with Deluge. Deluge even support file functions, where you can compress, extract files, like you can perform file operations with Deluge. Meaning, by coding it in ServiceDesk Plus, you can do file operations in the backend as well. All right. So the expressions, variables, operators, all that can be used in the Deluge scripting platform is explained in detail here in the help documentation. So that is the first thing that I achieved with Deluge. So once I write a custom function, right? So we have written a custom function. Now I'm going to show you places where this custom function can be consumed. All right, my custom function is to create a new ticket. I create request. All right, so this is the line of codes that I have written to create a new request in a different instance altogether, consuming the APIs. All right, I also provided the technician key for the instance, and I have created a new request. Now, the different places where it can be consumed. All right, so it can be used in custom triggers, meaning it can be written as a business rule or a custom trigger, and whenever the condition matches, this trigger will take effect. So in my case, I have written it as a custom trigger. Let me do this. Go to custom triggers, and here I have set my condition. Whenever a ticket is approved and the subject is employee onboarding, execute this custom function. So this custom function gets executed via this trigger, and an IT ticket gets created in the IT instance. Likewise, I can also use business rules to execute this custom function. Say, for example, this operation has to happen only during out of office hours. All right, I don't want it to get executed all the time. I want it to get executed only during out of office hours. Then I can use a business rule to achieve this. All right, so during create operation out of business hours, and the condition is subject contains onboarding, save, and then execute custom function. I can choose create request, and it can get triggered. Meaning, if you want to be very specific about the time of this operation, whether within operational hours or outside operational hours, then you can use business rules. So as per your requirements, you can consume the business custom function that you have created. Just like scripts, custom function will be your script repository. You can use the custom functions in custom triggers or in business rules or even in request life cycles. So you can go to request life cycle, create a new life cycle. So I believe you would have played with life cycles already. On specific status changes, if you want to execute the trigger, you can achieve that with request lifecycle. So these are the three places where the custom function can be consumed and used, right? So in our case, let's quickly go to the IT instance, request, and check if a new ticket got created. So onboarding for Diana has got created here. Now let's open this one. So as per my flow, I have to provide the asset information details. So I can edit the request, provide with asset information. In my case, Diana is a marketing resource and she has to be provided with a MacBook, right? I'm going to choose the model as Mac. As soon as I do that, now I get an alert message. MacBook is not in stock. A new purchase request will be raised once you submit the request. So this is an alert message which got thrown with the help of field and form rules. Once again, script that I wrote there, a JavaScript that I wrote there, which kicks in on a condition. As soon as I change this field to Mac, this message is thrown. So conditional alert messages can be achieved with field and form rules, right? So that is one more thing that I wanted to show you, and I'm going to update this request. Now, if I update this request, a new procurement request, a purchase request has to be created inside Service Desk for a MacBook. Let's take a look at if it's done there. All right, so once again, I have a trigger in the backend that instructs the application to create a MacBook request, a purchase request, which can be written as a trigger. Okay. All right, so create new request for procuring Mac. So here I can say what function has to be executed and what time it has to be executed. So has to be created and edited. So once I set the condition, automatically this trigger will kick in and it will create a new purchase request for a MacBook. All right, so that's the feature that I wanted to talk about, which is deluge custom function. So instead of Python or PowerShell scripts, you can make use of the deluge scripting language, which is built into the application. You can create a repository of scripts and a custom function and consume the scripts in custom triggers, business rules, or even in the request lifecycle. Whenever a specific status change happens on the ticket, you want to perform an operation. So for example, if you have a status called report it as a bug, as soon as you change the status on an incident to report it as a bug, you want to create a Jira record. Now you can write a script and achieve it with deluge. Everything from a tablet, meaning you don't need a powerful machine to do it because it's completely independent of hardware, right? Because it resides inside ServiceDesk Plus. So everything is made easy, no dependency problems at all. And to top it off, you have got an exhaustive help documentation that help you programmers to write and learn deluge scripts. Right, the final feature that I want to show you today is PowerShell repositories. So as administrators, we perform a lot of administrative operations using Python PowerShell scripts. It's very powerful. We can do a lot of control operations, command and control operations using PowerShell scripts, and administrators love to do it. But when you're working from home, executing a PowerShell script is not that easy, because every time you want to execute a PowerShell script, you have to either VPN into your office network or you have to remote into one of your servers and then execute it. All right, that's really hard. So that is the same case with one of our technicians here. So a user reports an issue with printer, an in-house user. Now the technician who is on the move, in order to perform an administrative operation using PowerShell script, has to remote into the end user's machine or into another server and execute a PowerShell. So, but what if I tell you, you can create a local repository of PowerShell scripts right within ServiceDesk Plus? Right, that's the feature that we are going to talk about in the next explore next. Custom menu. With custom menu, you can now execute PowerShell script with a click of a mouse, and also you can create a repository for your technicians. Let me show it in action to you guys. Okay, once again, we are going to the IT instance of ServiceDesk Plus. Let me go into a ticket, an incident request. So here, under the menu items, you have I have created something called clear print spooler. When I click on it, a Python script has to be executed in the backend on a target machine. So target machine information has to be provided manually by me. So I have created another custom HTML page where I can provide the input. So this is going to be my machine name. So I provide this machine name and click on submit. Now this machine name gets substituted in my PowerShell script, which resides in ServiceDesk Plus server, and it gets executed to achieve the administrative operation. Now you can enable your technicians. So you also get a success message. The script is configured with a success message. So once it gets executed, it also shows uh, in the user interface. So likewise, you can create a list of PowerShell scripts under custom actions, and you can enable your technician to execute PowerShell script directly in your office premises without having to VPN or remote into the office network. Now, one more important advantage of doing this is you can even bring these options to the right side properties section. Here you can create a section called PowerShell scripts and list all the custom actions that you have created in the right side pane, making use of page scripts. So you can top the custom menu option with page scripts, and you can show the buttons in the right side of the page, meaning technicians will get PowerShell repository, a local PowerShell repository right inside service desk request details section. Okay, let me quickly show you where to go for creating a custom menu option. So you need to go into the admin section, search for menu, you'll find request custom menu there. Okay, so I have created a new menu item for clearing the print spooler. Okay. So, so once again, I can choose the roles to which this option should be available. I can also set the scoping of templates. So if I want this option in all templates or incident templates or only in service request templates, it can be done. And even I can choose what templates it should be shown manually as well. All right, so I have created a custom HTML page, all right, to achieve this requirement, to get the input of the request, the destination machine. So instead of getting it manually from the technician, you can even get it from the request details. So if you already have the workstation information in the ticket, you can even get it from there and substitute it in the PowerShell script directly. And the PowerShell script is placed in the ServiceDesk Plus server. So this is achieved with request custom menu. You can even manipulate this buttons and bring it to the right side of the request details section, making use of the page scripts. All right, with that, we have come to the end of this presentation. Okay, so I'm going to share a few more resources to continue learning about ServiceDesk Plus. So it will be available in the presentation, which will be shared with you all. So admin guide, so you can always go to the admin guide. We have updated with a lot of new resources. You can check it out. Release notes, keep in touch with us via release notes. As and when we release new features and upgrades, you will be the first one to know about it. Product videos, we create a lot of product videos to educate you with new features and integrations that are made available with ServiceDesk Plus. And most of you might not have heard about the community. We have a community, Pit Stop. We call it as Pit Stop. I would encourage you all to subscribe to Pit Stop, where a lot of healthy discussion is happening about customized requirements. So you can also subscribe to it, and also feel free to write us to hello@servicedeskplus.com. Hello@servicedeskplus.com is our email address. We'll get all your questions answered. All right, and one more thing, a very important announcement that I want to make is we also do free product training and consultation, which is completely customized as per your requirements. It's absolutely free, no hooks attached. You can book your slot by shooting an email to itsmcares@manageengine.com. Okay, once again, it is itsmcares@manageengine.com. Shoot an email to book a customized training and consultation. With that, I would like to thank you all for participating in this discussion. If you have any feedback or questions, feel free to shoot an email to hello@servicedeskplus.com. Thank you once again. It's Prem Maheshwaran. Cheers.